Hello friends, and welcome to Dream Room. The best garden decorations may already be lying in a forgotten pile beside your fence. A dry branch that looks useless can become a privacy screen, a plant ladder, a glowing lantern, or a beautiful support for climbing flowers, often for less than $10. This matters when you are decorating a narrow backyard, a small balcony, a rented patio, or a modest porch where every inch has a purpose. You may love natural materials, but have limited storage, a small budget, or no professional workshop. Perhaps heavy construction is no longer comfortable, and you would rather use pruning shears, twine, wire, and simple hand tools than complicated machinery. That is exactly who these ideas are for. In this video, we will transform old branches into 8 practical garden decorations that add height, warmth, privacy, light, and personality without making a compact space feel crowded. Most projects can be adapted to an area as small as 6 by 8 feet, and many can be moved, repaired, or changed with the seasons. Before starting, choose branches that feel dry and solid. Avoid wood with deep rot, active insects, or soft, crumbling sections. Trim sharp ends, remove loose bark, and smooth the places your hands will touch. These few minutes of preparation will make every project safer and more attractive. Stay until the final idea, because we will turn simple wood slices into a personal garden path that can preserve names, dates, and family memories. And subscribe to Dream Room for more affordable, nature-inspired ways to create a beautiful home, peaceful garden, and welcoming small space using materials you may already have. Build a movable woven branch privacy screen. If one exposed corner makes your entire patio feel uncomfortable, do not rush to buy a heavy fence. A movable screen made from old branches can create privacy, hide clutter, and add natural texture for almost no cost. Start with 2 sturdy upright branches about 5 to 6 feet tall. Place them 3 to 4 feet apart inside heavy planters, wooden feet, or buckets filled with gravel. Then weave thinner, flexible branches from side to side, alternating in front of and behind each support. The weaving does not need to be perfect. In fact, small curves and uneven spaces give the panel its handmade cottage character. Keep gaps of roughly 1 to 2 inches so sunlight and fresh air can still pass through. This screen is especially useful if you have a narrow backyard, rented patio, balcony, or small seating area overlooked by a neighbor. It can also hide an air conditioning unit, recycling bins, garden tools, or the less attractive side of a storage shed. For a softer finish, train sweet peas, nasturtiums, or black-eyed Susan vine along the branches. A short strand of warm solar lights can make the panel feel completely different after sunset. Keep the structure light enough to move, but wide enough at the base to resist wind. If lifting is difficult, build 2 smaller 2-foot panels instead of 1 large screen. They are easier to carry, repair, and rearrange as your garden changes. This first project gives us privacy and structure. Next, we will use vertical space to display plants without sacrificing a single step of valuable floor area. 2. Create a rustic branch ladder for vertical plant displays. When floor space is limited, the smartest direction is upward. A simple branch ladder can turn an empty fence, balcony wall, or shed corner into a layered plant display without narrowing the walkway below. Choose 2 long, dry branches of similar thickness for the side rails. A height of about 4 to 5 feet works well for most patios. Cut 5 or 6 shorter branches for the rungs, spacing them roughly 8 to 10 inches apart. Secure each rung with strong garden twine, outdoor wire, or small screws. The ladder does not need to look perfectly straight. Slight bends and natural knots give it the relaxed character that factory-made shelves often lack. Lean it against a stable wall or fence, then secure the top so it cannot slide or tip. This is especially important on windy balconies or in homes with pets and visiting grandchildren. Use the lower rungs for heavier objects, such as a small watering can or sturdy ceramic pot. Reserve the upper levels for lightweight hanging baskets, dried herbs, gardening gloves, or seasonal decorations. Try displaying trailing plants, such as ivy, string of pearls, or creeping jenny. Their stems will fall between the rungs, softening the structure and making the wall appear greener without using more ground space. Do not cover every rung. Leaving some of the natural wood visible creates breathing room and keeps a small area from looking cluttered. This branch ladder is practical, easy to rearrange, and suitable for anyone who wants more plants but has only a narrow porch or compact balcony. Next, we will make an even smaller structure designed to support climbing plants directly inside a container. 3. Make a mini twig trellis for container plants. A climbing plant can quickly become tangled when it has nothing to hold. Instead of buying a metal support, use a few straight branches to create a small trellis directly inside the container. Choose 4 to 6 dry branches that are slightly taller than the plant's expected growth. For most medium-sized pots, branches between 2 and 3 feet long will provide enough support without making the container look top-heavy. Arrange them in a fan, triangle, grid, or simple arch. Push each branch several inches into firm soil, then tie the crossing points with natural jute twine. Keep the knots secure but not excessively tight, especially if the branches are thin and brittle. This trellis works well for sweet peas, flowering beans, clematis, black-eyed Susan vine, and other lightweight climbers. As new stems appear, guide them gently around the branches rather than forcing or bending them sharply. The scale of the structure is important. A delicate pot should have a light, narrow trellis, while a deep container can support taller and thicker branches. When the proportions are balanced, the plant gains height without making a balcony, porch, or narrow patio feel crowded. The branches do not need to match perfectly. Natural curves, small knots, and slight differences in color give the trellis its handmade character and help it blend with flowers, terracotta pots, and other garden materials. For viewers who prefer simple projects, this is one of the easiest places to begin. It requires little lifting, uses only a few materials, and can be rebuilt when the growing season changes. Now that the plants have support and height, the next project will bring warm light and gentle shadows to the garden after sunset. Why? Saw. Create a glowing twig lantern for a patio table. A small garden can feel completely different after sunset. One soft light on a table, porch step, or balcony shelf can make the entire space appear warmer, calmer, and more welcoming. To create a twig lantern, begin with a recycled glass jar, a simple wire frame, or a small open wooden base. Choose thin, dry branches of similar length and arrange them vertically around the outside. Secure the twigs with natural twine or thin wire. Leave narrow spaces between each piece so the light can pass through and reveal the texture of the bark. The arrangement does not need to be perfectly even. Slight variations make the lantern feel more natural and handmade. Place a battery-powered candle or small solar light inside. As the light shines through the gaps, it creates gentle branch-shaped shadows across nearby pots, tabletops, and walls. One lantern can brighten a quiet seating corner. 3 lanterns placed at different heights can create a more layered display on an outdoor dining table or along a covered porch. This project works especially well for people with limited space because it adds atmosphere without taking over the area. It can sit on a narrow shelf, a small side table, or even a sturdy garden step. Always use flameless lighting rather than an exposed candle. Dry branches can ignite easily, especially near curtains, trailing plants, pets, or visiting grandchildren. The beauty of this lantern comes from its simplicity, natural wood during the day, and a soft, peaceful glow at night. Next, we will use flexible twigs to create a sculptural garden feature that looks attractive even when no flowers are blooming. Oh, create a sculptural woven twig orb. When flowers fade or containers look empty between seasons, a simple woven twig orb can keep the garden visually interesting. It adds shape, texture, and a natural focal point without using much space. Begin with several long, flexible twigs. Bend the first branch into a loose circle and secure the ends with thin wire. Add a second circle across the first. Then continue placing branches at different angles until a basic sphere begins to form. Do not try to make the orb perfectly round. Small irregularities give it a relaxed, handcrafted appearance and allow it to blend naturally with gravel, foliage, terracotta, and weathered wood. Once the main shape feels stable, Weave additional twigs over and under the existing branches. Hide thin wire at important crossing points so the structure keeps its form during wind or rain. Place the finished orb inside a large planter, beside a narrow path, in a gravel bed, or among low-growing flowers. It creates strong visual interest without blocking the view or making a compact garden feel crowded. For a balanced arrangement, choose a sphere that matches the surrounding space. A small planter may need an orb about 10 to 12 inches wide, while a larger flower bed can hold one closer to 18 inches. You can also wrap a delicate solar light strand around the structure. During the day, it looks like a natural garden sculpture. After sunset, the woven branches become a soft, glowing feature. This project is light, movable, and attractive even when nothing nearby is blooming. Next, we will bend flexible branches into a graceful arch that adds height and structure to a raised bed or planter box. Yucks. Build a natural branch arch for a raised bed or planter. A rectangular planter can look flat and unfinished, even when the plants are healthy. A simple branch arch adds graceful height, frames the arrangement, and gives climbing stems a clear direction to grow. Choose 2 flexible branches of similar length. For a medium planter box, pieces between 4 and 5 feet long are usually enough. Push one end of each branch firmly into opposite sides of the soil, then bend them carefully toward the center. Bring the upper ends together and secure them with natural twine or outdoor wire. Add 1 or 2 horizontal cross pieces to strengthen the arch and prevent it from twisting in the wind. The finished frame can support sweet peas, flowering vines, lightweight beans, or other delicate climbers. It can also hold temporary garden netting or a thin shade cloth when young plants need protection. Keep the structure narrow enough that it does not overwhelm the container. In a small patio or balcony garden, the arch should create height while leaving the surrounding space open and easy to move through. Natural branches are softer in appearance than heavy metal frames. Their curves blend easily with terracotta pots, reclaimed wood, flowers, and informal cottage-style planting. Place the arch where it can frame something attractive. It might sit behind a favorite chair, beside a doorway, at the end of a narrow path, or above a planter filled with colorful seasonal flowers. Because the frame is light and temporary, it can be removed, adjusted, or rebuilt when the growing season changes. The arch now gives the garden vertical structure. Next, we will use thicker branch sections to lift ordinary pots into a balanced, multi-level display. Chill. Create a multi-level plant display from thick branches. When every pot sits at the same height, even a healthy collection can look flat and crowded. Thick branch sections can become simple natural pedestals that lift selected plants and create a more balanced display. Choose a dry, solid branch or small log with a wide diameter. Cut it into 3 or 4 sections of different heights. Pieces around 6, 10, and 14 inches tall are enough to create visible layers without making the arrangement unstable. Smooth both ends of every section. The bottom must sit flat on the ground, while the upper surface should be level enough to support a lightweight container safely. Arrange the tallest section at the back, the medium piece beside it, and the shortest one near the front. This step layout allows each plant to remain visible instead of disappearing behind another pot. Use the pedestals for small terracotta containers, lanterns, decorative bowls, or lightweight garden ornaments. Trailing plants work especially well because their stems can fall naturally over the edges and connect the different levels. This display is useful in a balcony corner, beside a porch step, or against a plain fence where several pots currently sit in one untidy row. Raising smaller plants also makes them easier to see, water, and inspect without repeated bending. Do not place heavy ceramic pots on narrow or uneven pieces of wood. Each branch section should have a broad base and rest on firm paving, compact gravel, or another stable surface. The result is simple but effective. A few ordinary containers begin to look like one carefully arranged garden feature. Next, we will use dried wood slices to create the most personal project in this collection, a garden path filled with names, dates, and meaningful memories. Why? Pat. Create a personal garden memory path with wood slice accents. The final project is more than a decoration. It turns an ordinary garden path into a quiet record of the people, dates, and memories connected to your home. Begin with a thick, fully dried branch. Cut it into round slices, Then sand the surfaces and edges until they feel smooth. The natural growth rings will remain visible, giving every piece a different pattern. Place the slices beside an existing path made from gravel, brick, or stepping stones. Use them as decorative accents rather than the main walking surface. Untreated wood can become slippery when wet and may slowly deteriorate after repeated exposure to soil and rain. Arrange the pieces in small groups instead of one rigid line. Fill the spaces around them with pebbles, moss, creeping thyme, or another low ground cover. This softer layout helps the wood blend naturally into a narrow backyard or compact garden. Selected slices can be personalized with family initials, meaningful dates, the names of favorite plants, or a short word such as home, hope, or welcome. One piece might mark the year the garden was created. Another could remember a loved one or celebrate a special family event. Keep the markings simple so the path remains calm and natural. A few personal details will have more meaning than covering every slice. This idea works especially well beside a porch, between raised beds, or along the short route to a favorite garden chair. It adds warmth without requiring a large yard or expensive materials. A branch that once seemed ready for disposal can now become part of your family's story. And with this final transformation, our collection of practical branch decorations is complete. Conclusion. Simple materials, beautiful spaces, meaningful gardens. A beautiful garden does not begin with an expensive shopping list. It begins with noticing what is already around you and seeing ordinary materials with fresh eyes. Those old branches can create privacy, support climbing plants, display pots vertically, hold soft evening light, or become a personal path filled with family memories. Each project adds something different: height, texture, warmth, structure, or character, without demanding a large yard or professional workshop. This is especially important when you are working with a narrow backyard, small balcony, rented patio, or modest porch. You may have limited storage, a careful budget, or prefer projects that use simple tools and do not require heavy lifting. That does not mean your space must feel plain. Begin with one idea. Make a small twig trellis if you only have a few branches and one container. Build a plant ladder if your floor is crowded but your wall is empty. Create a lantern if your favorite garden corner disappears after sunset. Even one thoughtful change can make a small space feel calmer, more organized, and more personal. The secret is not perfect craftsmanship. It is choosing the right scale, placing each piece carefully, and allowing the natural curves, knots, and textures of the wood to remain visible. Now tell us in the comments, which of these 8 branch projects would you make first, and what materials do you already have at home? Share your own garden idea so other viewers can learn from it too, and subscribe to Dream Room for more practical, affordable, and nature-inspired ways to decorate small homes, patios, balconies, and gardens with creativity and confidence.